Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis just got traded in one of the most shockingly stupid blockbuster trades in NBA history. A deal that, mark my words, will go down as one of the worst trades ever. Why? Because it looks at the loyal fan bases of both teams and effectively says, F you. Sure, basketball is a business. Trades happen. Tough decisions aren't made by fans. But at the end of the day, trades are supposed to make a team better. Or in rare cases, free up salary space to pursue a better player. Here's what you don't do. You do not trade a super mega star like Luka Doncic, a player you drafted as a teenager who's a perennial MVP candidate and who just led your team to the NBA Finals last year. And you definitely don't trade him to the Western Conference rival Lakers, who you have effectively just bailed out. The worst part of this, it's actually a bad trade for both teams, even though the Lakers clearly get the best of it given Luka's age and scoring prowess and overall prowess in the NBA up to those points. Anthony Davis won you a title in Los Angeles, and despite his injury concerns and age, he's having an MVP caliber season on both ends of the floor. Who's the biggest loser here actually? The fans. Imagine being a Dallas Mavericks fan. You're stuck with this team after the Dirk era, enduring years of mediocrity, only to be rewarded when they fleeced Atlanta for Luka Doncic. Luka just signed a max extension 2 years ago, and you had every reason to believe the future was bright. Now imagine being a Lakers fan. You watched Anthony Davis carry your team. He's been the heart of the Lakers in a season where not much else has gone right. So why would two teams in the playoff race trade their best players for each other in a move that makes no sense? Money. And in chasing money, the NBA has missed the point. Let's talk about this disaster of a trade and why it's a middle finger to NBA fans everywhere. According to Mavs GM Nico Harrison, remember that name, they traded Luka Doncic away in a win-now move because defense wins championships and they now have an all-NBA defensive player that will help them win now and into the future. This is verbatim. But my question is, how? Yes, Anthony Davis is an elite superstar player, especially defensively. But he is a 31-year-old player who is injury prone and on the back end of his prime. But that's not even the biggest issue. Dallas needed some help at the forward and center positions for sure. But their biggest glaring need was adding a third scorer for Luka and Kyrie, especially because they're both guards. Removing Luka, who is a far superior scorer than Anthony Davis, now removes 30 points per game and puts a much bigger onus on Kyrie Irving. So wait, who's the number one here exactly? Because both these guys have shown that they are excellent number twos and not great number ones. When they now play a defensively strong team in the playoffs and they double Kyrie and take him out of the game through physicality, which we've seen many times, what happens? And to that point, LA now has the same issue in reverse. You have two 6'8" dudes listed at point guard who like to dominate the ball and have a very similar playing style in Luka Doncic and LeBron James. And oh yeah, the only guy who was playing any defense at all in Los Angeles just left. A guy who's much better at playing off the ball with LeBron James just got traded for a guy who is well known for not playing defense at the best of times. Where are they going to find a stop in the playoffs when they just traded away probably the NBA's best overall defender? Here's the absolute worst. In the few times this may have happened in NBA history, it's due to both teams way underperforming expectations. Both these teams are in the playoffs currently in a super crowded and way more difficult Western Conference. Anthony Davis is averaging 26 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal on 53% shooting for a Lakers team that needs every bit of his defense. Meanwhile, Luka is averaging 28, 8, and 8 for a Dallas team that severely needs somebody to create offense all the time as a number one, because then that frees up Kyrie, who has proven to be an excellent number two, but when he's relied upon as the number one, it's not worked out. And if you're stupid enough to think that now he's gonna morph into a 40-point a game scorer, that's not gonna happen, because he too is on the back end of his prime. So again, we must ask, why did the Mavs and Lakers do this? Because honestly, Nico Harrison's statement rings full of shit. Here's the truth. The real reason is they didn't want to pay him the next supermax that was about to kick in, worth over $350 million, because of defense and conditioning issues? Really? You would let a franchise player walk out the door for that? Especially because we are in a salary cap sport and the money is only growing. So they have to give that money to somebody. It's not like they're saving the money. They gotta give it to somebody. So this is doubly messed up. They're basically telling Luka to his face that he ain't worth it. Is there any value to this statement? Can we put any sort of goodwill or value into it? Luka's defense got exploited in the NBA Finals last year. But the only reason your crappy team was in the finals to begin with was because of Luka Doncic. So you are absolutely cutting off your nose to spite your face. It looks exactly like Nico Harrison is taking out some sort of vendetta on Luka Doncic and accordingly sinking the Dallas Mavericks for the next decade. Since Doncic was drafted to Dallas, he has won Rookie of the Year, NBA All-Star, multiple All-NBA first teams, NBA scoring leader, and most importantly, multiple playoff appearances with significant success each time, stepping up huge all the time and then leading them to the finals just last year, which again was a massive overachievement. So no, there was absolutely no need to trade a player who has already achieved all this at 25 years old. Yes, he may have conditioning issues and could work on his defense, but Luka Doncic has not even reached his prime yet. And he did every single thing he could for this organization. But here's the worst part. Dallas fans watched their organization whiff time and time again, endured significant mediocrity after the Dirk era ended, and then were given this blessing when Atlanta stupidly traded away the rights to Luka Doncic. All Doncic has done is repay the Mavericks and their fans with some of the greatest play that's ever been seen on a basketball court given first 6 years in the league. Did Nico Harrison forget that this kid with quote-unquote conditioning issues dropped a 60-point triple-double last year? Imagine all the young children in Dallas with Luka jerseys and parents who spent their hard-earned money on season's tickets because they had absolutely no reason to believe something like this would happen. Nico Harrison tried to follow it up by saying, oh, well, we wanted to avoid a tumultuous summer next year because he was up for renegotiation. How is it going to be a tumultuous summer? You don't negotiate anything. It's Luka Doncic. Just say, here's where you sign. Why would you even consider negotiating? So this is already begun with bad faith. It isn't about just Luka. This is a clear vendetta. And also, Nico Harrison, let's remember that he was the one who was tasked with presenting to Steph Curry when his contract with Nike was up. And oh, what did he do? Call him Stephon and show him a slide that was made for KD and watched him walk out the door to Under Armour. So maybe we could have learned from that and not have Nico Harrison in such high-powered, impactful roles? Well, too late. He's just destroyed the Dallas Mavericks like he did to Nike. Slow clap, Dallas. As for Los Angeles, most of their sun-kissed idiot brains will think that they've made out like bandits because they got a much younger player with a far superior offensive arsenal to carry them into the future post-LeBron. Yes, okay, you now have a superstar player for the future, but you guys are not a future team. And you have one LeBron James who has been crystal clear he doesn't care about the future. And oh yeah, let's remember he's 40 years old and a lot of the Lakers' defensive issues were papered over by 6'11" Anthony Davis, who is one of the greatest in the paint defenders ever and easily one of the best defenders in the league. While the Mavs are stupid and clueless as hell for getting rid of Luka, the only small fact is his defense is highly exploitable and you've moved him to a team that's already super lacking defense. For the more knowledgeable Lakers Lakers fans, of which there are a lot, you know that you can't win in neither the regular season nor playoffs without defense. And now you have none. Yes, the league has become smaller, but you still need some big guys to play. Who is a serviceable big man on the Lakers now? Who can they trust outside of AD? Oh yeah, nobody. Another huge issue. When are Luka and LeBron teams playing their best? When one of them dominates the ball and has multiple open shooters. Doncic is leaving Klay Thompson for who on the Lakers? Honestly, awful for everyone involved except seemingly Nico Harrison, who is looking like the only winner here. What's worse is, yes, this is a horrendous trade and both these organizations seem to have hit their head. But guess what? The NBA has a commissioner for a reason, and he could have easily stepped in to prevent this absolute malpractice of a trade. But instead, he's content to sit back and watch our beautiful NBA burn.